The future is here, folks, and it's coming to the Beltline, the future of public transit rolling into Southwest Atlanta. The Beltline is launching ATL Spoke, a free shuttle service, an autonomous shuttle designed to connect MARTA riders with the Beltline. Joining us now to talk about this new service is Joe Iacobucci, Vice President of Transit Innovation for the Atlanta Beltline. Joe, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's talk about ATL Spoke. What is this all about and what's it going to do?
So the ATL Spoke is the Beltline's first automated transit pilot. So it's a pilot program using an autonomous shuttle that will serve the residents of Southwest Atlanta, connecting the West End station on MARTA to the Beltline Southwest Trail at Lee and White. And This is an important project for us as people have always identified that they want more ways to get to the Beltline. They don't want to use their car all the time. In addition to walking and biking on the summer months, uh, they want to be able to access this in a way that connects to the current transit network, and that's what it's trying to solve with this last mile pilot project.
So how far does this vehicle go? And I think you kind of started to speak to it, but why this section of all sections specifically?
When the MARTA Red and Gold Line was built out, Beltline was still a functioning freight corridor. We have this legacy where MARTA rail is close to us, but it's still about a mile away. And so what this shuttle just intends to do is to close that gap. And so working with our partners at MARTA, City of Atlanta, GDOT, and GTA, we collaborated on this solution that would provide a fast, frequent connection there. I think frequency is the operative word here. The service will be running at about every 12 minutes from noon to 10 p.m. So it's something that people can show up and they can just wait for a couple minutes and there will be a shuttle there. And as you're aware too, Lee and White is a major node that's come up with the Beltline. It's been around for about a little bit less than a decade and has been a boon for the community, giving access to entertainment venues. Most recently, with opening a health clinic with Grady Health, and also a trade school too. This will provide access for a variety of users, everywhere from people that are looking to grab a bite to workers to also people accessing healthcare. So it's really a multitude of reasons why we identified this as a critical link within the system.
Yeah, Lee and White's a really, really cool area, so it's nice to be able to have this kind of increased access. So let me ask you, I mean, I think a lot of us have just gotten used to the idea of like Waymos, driverless vehicles or Ubers. How is this different? How autonomous is it? And, are there real life attendants built in for security measures, anything like that?
So let me start with first, because the experience that we want people to have is a comfortable and safe experience. And with that, an attendant will always be on board. And then that attendant is there really to identify, exemplary customer service. The vehicle holds 12 passengers. So that's the primary difference is the form factor of the vehicle compared to a Waymo. Waymo is really meant to kind of replace a taxi trip or an Uber trip. This is really to move a lot of people if they want to provide access. So multiple people on there. The form factor is much larger. The vehicle is fully autonomous. Technically speaking, it's level 4 autonomy. And what's really interesting about the vehicle too is that when you ride in it, we actually have a screen where you can actually see how the autonomy works. So it shows you where pedestrians are, where other vehicles are, other objects that the vehicle navigates. But the attendant is also on board too in cases where we need to take over and have go off automation to navigate a tricky situation or weather event. That's always going to be built in there, and that's what's important about that aspect is that somebody who's trying to show up for their job on time. We always want to ensure that they're going to have a safe and reliable trip on the ATL Spoke.
So, Joe, this is free to ride, but how is it funded then?
We're very happy to have a partnership with GTA, who is funding the majority of this project. The rest of the project is funded with Beltline TAD dollars, and this has been underway for a couple of years now for the planning for this project. And again, as I mentioned before, we have partnership with GDOT, with City of Atlanta, and MARTA as also on partners on this one. And the project will last for about 12 months here with the pilot project, and we'll evaluate where we want to go from there.
Joe, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't address some criticisms of this. A lot of people saying they would have preferred, a rail service, saying that, that's kind of what they voted for and for these tax increases and what they were promised. Is there any update on that? And what's your response to that criticism?
Sure. Yeah, and actually, it's a really good question because we have two primary missions at the Beltline in regards to transit, and that's getting people to the Beltline, which is the focus of this pilot project, and that's independent of our longer term vision of moving people around the Beltline, which is probably manifested mostly in our Beltline transit study, which happy to report that we'll be planning on wrapping that up this summer. And so these are mutually exclusive, not competitive. But what I'd also say too is that as far as we're concerned too, we see that there's multiple tools to be able to resolve or to solve both of those goals here. We need everything from safe streets to better bike lanes to coordination with MARTA to advancing this. And so we see as advancing these on multiple levels at the same time because the community, frankly, is asking for better access to the Beltline, in addition to what you mentioned as far as the long-term vision of putting transit on the Beltline as well.
So this isn't a this or that kind of situation, you're saying?
That's correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
that absolutely. And we also see them as potential complementary in a way as well,
Okay.
because even with the major investment in a rail corridor, as we're planned right now in the Beltline transit study along the Beltline, we're still going to need extra access to get there. And so, unfortunately, a lot of folks feel like they don't have great alternatives to driving here. And so, launching this from a couple different angles, trying a lot of different things. That's just part of what we want to do here to help unlock some of those potential transit trips that we're not capturing today.
So ATL Spoke, you mentioned, is a pilot program. Can you explain what that means and what are the markers of success? What would be the markers of success for this?
Yeah, so it's a great question because first of all, we want to evaluate how the service works. We feel very fortunate to be able to take advantage of this kind of next generation technology of running an autonomous shuttle, and so we want to learn, how it operates well, any lessons learned as far as constraints, how we can improve the service in the future, and identify, where a solution like this could be beneficial in the future, and frankly where we might be better off going with different solutions or maybe a multitude of solutions. So we hope to learn that. And there's another aspect too, which is probably the more key one, which is we understand that this might be a lot of people's first time that they ever experience autonomy. So we want to make this a safe and welcoming experience, be able to gain the confidence that this could be a solution for them as an alternative to driving. And so with that, we take it very seriously. And then going back to, having the attendants on board and just making sure that we, take advantage of the communication channels that we have to make sure everybody feels comfortable. And frankly, we get a lot of ridership.
So, Joe, let's say this is wildly successful, after the pilot program wraps. Have you already identified sections where, this could potentially be expanded?
I think that's something we're trying to evaluate, throughout this pilot project as well, because, I think the one thing that we'll be able to do is, in the first phase here, going from MARTA West End to Lee and White, we have the advantage of seeing with those unique trip characteristics who's taking it. Is it a lot of workers? Is a lot of people that are going there for entertainment? Is a lot of people looking for just access to trail for recreation? So we have onboard surveys that we'll be taking throughout that. But in the fall for phase two, we'll be expanding up to AUC in concert with the beginning of fall semester. And for that, obviously, with the 10,000 plus students plus the workers that are part of that geography, we have a tremendous opportunity to see how that works and that adopts too. So we know that there's a need, and we hear this over and over from the community that they want better options. They want other ways to access the Beltline. And so it's just kind of drilling down to some of those populations that will ride it the most and making sure that we're provisioning service where the greatest need is in the future.
All right, awesome. Anything else you want to add or mention? Anything we didn't touch on?
Just a note too, the shuttle runs every day from noon to 10 p.m. And again, we want to make this an easy experience. So just show up at one of the stops, and it'll be a matter of minutes before you see a vehicle. So just on that, we want this to be, a place of joy, a place of pride for the community, and also that just creates vital connections that we're looking to provide more of in Atlanta.
All right, Joe Iacobucci with the Atlanta Beltline. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.